Millions of people have seen his shows, studied how intense he is, and liked how quiet he is on TV. But there are anecdotes about Robert De Niro that he doesn't often relate. And now that he's 78 and looking back on his time in Hollywood, one name keeps coming up in conversation. Rob Reiner, not in a way that causes controversy, but in a way that shows something deeper about the industry they both helped shape. Deronk's adventure started in New York City long before he became famous. They were up in a creative home where they were encouraged to express themselves, but they were never sure they would be successful. His parents were painters who were quite creative but not very regimented, as in movies. De Niro had a modest resolve to become an actor when he was young. He studied his profession, learned new techniques, and quietly made his way through small jobs that required more patience than recognition. Rob Reiner was growing up in a totally different world at the same time. He was surrounded by TV, stories, and the influence of his father, Carl Reiner. While De Niro was studying how to be a method actor, Reiner was learning how to direct and perform from people in the industry. Their paths would eventually cross, not always on screen, but via the world of filmmaking that shaped their careers. De Niro's big break came with movies like The Godfather Part 2 and later Taxi Driver, when his acting changed what people thought an actor should do. He wasn't just acting, he was becoming the characters. People all throughout the world noticed. He won awards, and with them came a reputation for being intense that would affect every project he worked on. Reiner, on the other hand, went from acting to directing and became known for presenting stories that were emotionally anchored. People all across the world loved his movies When Harry Met Sally and A Few Good Men because he was able to mix dialogue, character, and human connection. But the truth was often much more complicated than the polished final cuts of Hollywood movies. People who know the business say that actors like De Niro and directors like Reiner have quite different ideas about how to present a tale. De Niro's method-driven intensity often entailed going deep into the psychology of the characters, which occasionally pushed scenes to their emotional boundaries. Reiner, who is recognized for his organized and collaborative style, focuses on rhythm, tempo, and clarity. A lot of people think that when artists with very different styles meet, even if it's not directly, there is an underlying tension. It's not a conflict, but a contrast. People who have worked in similar fields remember times when their innovative ideas didn't always match up. It was never about pride. It was about how a tale should feel, how a moment should land, and how reality should be shown on film. A major change in Hollywood in the 1980s and 1990s is regularly brought up in industry talks. The proportion between actor-driven performances and director storylines changed as storytelling changed. De Niro was one side of the change, and Reiner was the other. A second turning moment came when both men made their legacies stronger. While Reiner worked on his voice behind the camera, De Niro started to look into production and creative control. Their power grew, but so did the difficulty of the industry they worked in. But what stands out in later thoughts is not disagreement, but respect. De Niro has talked a lot about directors who understand actors in interviews and subtle acknowledgments over the years. Many people think Reiner is one of those directors. Not because they constantly worked together, but because they both cared about being real. Time has a tendency of making things less clear and showing different points of view. Today, De Niro and Reiner are both important players in Hollywood who helped define modern movies in different but complementary ways. Their stories aren't about competition, they're about how an industry changed and how people who dared to lead it had to give it their all. In Hollywood, the most important ties aren't always loud. They are connected by respect, by going through the same things, and by knowing that greatness comes in various forms. And maybe it's the truth that De Niro is thinking about right now. Not a narrative of fighting, but a story of points of view. If this tale helped you understand how things work in Hollywood better, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more cinematic documentaries that tell the story behind your favorite icons.